Go back to Psalm 139. Finish this week. Had 3 weeks of, this will be the third week of Psalm 139. When we started this, we started with, Thou hast searched me and known me. We started with what is truth. You have, God, you've already searched me, you've already known me, you've already looked into my life, and you've already understood, and you have knowledge of my life and gone through my life. And then he goes down through what else you've done, and how you've put my life together, and how you worked my life out, and how you direct our paths and guide our paths. So now I want to start, this time, let me go back to verse 16. I want to start in verse 17, but then I'm going to back up one. So I'm actually starting in 17, but I'm starting in 16. Which we did last time. Thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect. And in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. What did we say last week? That was saying that you saw all my substance, yet my substance was unperfect. You knew me like I was, knowing even that I wasn't perfect yet. That you're trying to make me into the bride without spot or without wrinkle. But you've seen me as I really am. Knowing where I'm going. Knowing what you're going to make of me. In your book, all my members were written. Everything about me was written. Which in continuance were fashioned. Which in the span of time, which that means throughout time, are fashioned. As we go along, God fashions your life. He changes your life, and He molds your life, and He shapes your life. He knows you're imperfect. Guess what? Now everybody knows. We think how many times have you thought, I've got it hidden from Him? He doesn't really know. He's not looking, and I won't show Him. But He says, we're fashioned when as yet there was none of them. When the right stuff wasn't there, He was forming it. He saw what He wanted. He sees what He's trying to make of you. See, this whole psalm is doing one thing. David is bringing it down from this is what God knows into a place of faith of this is what He's doing. He's bringing this, giving us a knowledge of what God knows and what He's doing in our lives, so that can produce faith in your life. So that you can walk with God. Because it's hard to walk with God without faith. You ever tried it? It becomes stubbornness. And when you pit stubbornness against the devil, it's a slow, miserable death. It's a defeat that's miserable. Because he just beats you senseless and beats you and beats you and beats you, and you wonder, why am I losing? Well, you've got stubbornness, not faith. That was one of the big things the Lord told me a long time ago. Jerry, what you have is stubbornness, not faith. Well, give me 5 minutes and I'll get up off the floor. You know, He just slapped me right down to the floor. And I said, God, I never knew. I had no idea. I thought what I had was faith. And He said, no, it's stubbornness. And at that point, I started to change. That wasn't too many years ago. I started to change. That God doesn't want me to live by stubbornness. He doesn't want stubbornness in me. There's a difference between determination and stubbornness. There's a difference between faith and stubbornness. Stubbornness is the work of the flesh. Faith is the work of the Spirit. So, let's start with verse 17. How precious also are thy thoughts unto me, O God. How great is the sum of them. How precious are thy thoughts also. See, what's he saying? I started in verse 16 because he says, I knew you when you were imperfect. Your eyes did see my substance, yet being imperfect. He knew me when I was imperfect. So how precious also, knowing all of that, how precious also are your thoughts toward me. And what that means is that this precious here is highly valued or esteemed or costly. How esteemed, how highly valued are your thoughts? In thoughts here we think is this. It's not what's going through here. It's His aim or His purpose for my life. How highly valued is God's purpose for my life? How highly valued is that? He sees me while I'm imperfect, while nothing's yet formed, while everything isn't as it's supposed to be. He sees that. But how important and costly and valued is His purpose for my life, for your life? How important is it to you? See, what's He trying to do here? Build faith in your life. Faith being, this is the important thing. His aim, His purpose. What are you willing to go through to get to His purpose in your life? I mean, how much are you willing to do? And you know, when I say do, Rosie and I were talking about this morning. How much are you willing to surrender and say, okay, God, here I am. My doing is absolute surrender. I'm here to do whatever you want. You have to look at that. How important is it? How costly is it? Well, I'll go to this point. I'll go to where it doesn't cost my flesh too much. It doesn't make me too unhappy. And because when the flesh dies, it dies miserably. You know, we don't jump up and down to get rid of our temper. We don't jump up and down excited that, oh, I get to get rid of my temper today. Woo, woo. Isn't it great? I get to get rid of my lust today. I get to get rid of my bitterness today. We don't jump up and down about that stuff. You know, the really bad stuff we'll jump up and down about. Lord, take my fear away. We're excited about getting rid of fear. Oh, that's wonderful. Because that's just a miserable experience. Fear is a miserable experience. And we get excited about that, but, you know, if you're bitter at somebody, you control the relationship. So, if you have bitterness in your life, sorry, my page is turning. If you have bitterness in your life, you're not jumping up and down to get rid of that. That gives me control. That gives me a power in the relationship or power in that part of my life. That gives me something. But we don't get excited about that. How costly is it to you? How important, how valuable is it to you to get rid of the flesh or to have the purpose and the aim of God in your life? How precious also are thy thoughts unto me, O God. How great is the sum of them. If I should count them, they're more in number than the sand. When I awake, I'm still with thee. How great is the sum of them? If you put all the purposes of God together for your life, all the purpose of God, all the aim of God, how much He thinks about you, and all the purposes that He has, and you put them together, what does it say? The number is the sand. They're more in number than the sand. If I should count them, they're more in number than the sand. How much sand is there? How many beach worshipers are there in here? At least a couple? Few?
Swim back here.
Well, I know. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Steve's just so. It's a beach.
Sand my sheets.
Yeah. Rosie gets sand in her shoes. She doesn't like that. So we don't. The beach is fine, but it's not a worship thing. But how much sand is there? How much does God think about you? It's more than that. If you could number the sand, if you could compile all the sand, how much is His purpose for you, for your life? Because what does the devil tell you? Oh, he's forgotten about you. He's forgotten about you. God just, He thinks about everybody else, and He's working everybody else's life out, but He's not working your life out. This scripture says, if I could count the sand, that's how much He thinks about me. That's how much aim and purpose He has toward my life. More than the sand. And this is the part I like. When I awake, I'm still with thee. When I awake. Because what does the devil tell you? It's a dream. You're making it up. See, this is not a dream. This is the reality of Jesus. This is the reality of walking with Jesus. When I wake up, he said, I'm still with you. It's still here. When we lay down at night, we dream about this stuff. Oh, that the Lord has me and I'm in his arms and I'm the apple of his eye and he loves me and he's just compassionate and kind and holds me and helps me and works my life out. Guess what? When I wake up, it's all still the same. Nothing's changed. It's the same in my dream as it is when I'm awake. It's the same God, the same Spirit, the same love, the same compassion, the same joy, the same aim and goals for my life. The same purpose for my life. It's the same thing. That's the reality of God. That's the reality of walking with Jesus. But the devil will tell you, you're making it up. It's a lie. Why do you believe that? Because it says it's true. I know how the Lord feels about me. Does that ever get challenged? Yes. Mm-hmm. Rosie, does that ever get challenged? Mm-hmm. Sometimes every day? Mm-hmm. Sometimes 100 times a day? Yes. Does that change anything? No. Does that change the reality of God? No. It doesn't change a thing. Because when I wake up, when I come back to reality, what happens? Everything is still the same. His feelings for me, his aim, his purpose, his thoughts, his goals, they all number. The sum of them is more than the sand. That's how much God thinks about me. I've lived with that, knowing that for a long, long time. And it's done some things in my life. It's changed my life. It's made me proud at points, and God's had to take me down. He's had to knock me back down and say, okay, now you're arrogant. Too much. Back down. And knock my feet out from under me. Okay. It's not about me, Lord. It's about you. But how precious are his thoughts toward us? How important, how costly is his aim? Verse 19. Surely thou wilt slay the wicked, O God. Depart from me, therefore, you bloody men. See, the wicked here, he's getting into men. But the wicked here is the flesh and the devil. And this is a declaration of faith that David had for God. That we have the same declaration against the devil, or God concerning the devil. Surely you will slay the wicked, O God. The wicked being the flesh in our lives. Surely he'll slay the wicked. Surely he's not going to leave us like we are. If he has a purpose and an aim for my life, what has to happen? The flesh has to die. The flesh can't be hidden and packed away somewhere. Because how many of you have chucked the flesh away? You know, tuck the flesh away for a later day. Because that's why you tuck the flesh away. I'm going to use this later. I might need this at some point in time. I might need my attitude or my temper or my fear or my bitterness or my strife. I might need that later. What are some of the things we need? For me, it was always my sharp tongue. I might need that sharp tongue later. And I could use that sharp tongue. Quite sharp. Kept it, finely honed. Finely sharpened. In case I ever needed it. I could jab you like it was like what would the thing, like an adder's tongue. It could just come out like a snake tongue, but with a pin on it and pick you and prick you and stick you and hurt you and draw blood. But the Lord started taking that out of me. And I realized I don't need to tuck this flesh away. See, what does it say? Surely. 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 What does that mean? Absolutely. With absolute certainty, you will slay the wicked. How many want the wicked slain in your life? You want the wicked dead. You want the flesh dead. How precious is that? How important is that to you? See, that's why he builds on this. Depart from me, therefore, you bloody men. Depart from me, devil. The bloody men here is the devil.